Oh, thanks, dude. Hello, hello. What's up? Welcome, welcome. Why is this not making any noise? There we go. Hello, hello everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Alckemy. Today we are going to be taking a look at the latest Faceplant preset batch that I've been working on, and it is a lot of work. It's something that I've been working on since October, and I'm really happy to finally put it out. Very quickly, just to kind of get it out of the way, if you're looking for where to find this, you can get it at alckemy.com. It's available for $30. If you have not purchased the other stuff, then something that might be worth checking out is the bundle that I've provided as well. So it's Requiem 1, 2, and 3 plus Ecclesia for $120. And it's there. It's just available. There's demos on that. So yeah, I have a demo track that I started yesterday that I'm working on. So it's in super rough shape, but I do want to talk about some of the elements of the kind of thing that I really wanted to provide for this pack, which is usability. You know, I still want to have the sonic variety that I have in my other packs, but I really wanted stuff to be applicable as much as possible. And yeah, so let's go ahead and take a look at some of the elements that I've included in this. Again, this is a super rough thing. It's just something that I wanted to throw together, but yeah, we'll start from here. And then I'll take you through some of these patches, I'll take you through some of these of how I've used them in context, and then I'll walk you through what this actually has to offer. The sample packs work on anything, but this is a preset pack for Faceplant. Probably do some stuff with this, but so cool. Thank you. So yeah, I mean, like I said, this is something that I started yesterday, but it's got a few elements in here that I really like, and I kind of want to open some of those up. So for example, this is just pretty much vanilla. Yeah, there's nothing on here, but it sounds really cool. There's also another one in here that's kind of like the bounce womp that is really awesome. Yeah. So this has a little bit of extra processing on it, but as you can see, it's just the preset itself. So there's not really any resampling. You can do that if you want to, but again, I really wanted to focus on making stuff that you can just use. So how do you kind of do that, right? How do you make something that's as, you know, functional as possible while still providing the sonic variety? And also some people have talked about how crazy my last patches were with like CPU stuff. So I wanted to make everything more CPU efficient. I wanted to make everything louder, and I wanted to make it in a means that's like, oh, I could use this immediately. So yeah, this is probably actually just the first preset that you'll find within the basses. There's 58 total. So we have 11 bass playgrounds, which I'll open up in a second. We have 25 just normal basses, which these are all just phrases, simple things that, you know, is just kind of like one and done. We've got 13 musical items that are kind of just, you know, things that I would use to start a track idea with. We have some sequences, which I'll talk about here in a second. And then we have some templates, because the most important thing that I think you can get out of all of these packs are the templates. And I think that we should probably open up with that. So let me close that. I hope that I saved that. We'll see. Oh, this might crash on me. Oh, no, we're okay. So the templates, again, if nothing else, like I think that these are the most valuable pieces within every single pack that I have, because I've designed everything to have a sense of modularity to it. And so if we start with the template here, you'll see that it's just kind of like a respace or something. And then because we have all of this stuff set up, what it's designed for is for you to be able to open these up and start to hot swap the patches, kind of like Legos. So for example, if I open this up, I think this actually has a patch on it. No, it doesn't. You'll see that the template is there for you to start messing with. So if you want to build your own effects or whatever, like all you have to do is assign the modulation to it and you can create your own stuff. So the ecosystem of it is already available to give you some insight into the workflow. However, if you're not a sound design genius, that's totally okay, because you can just pull up something like this to where I've already provided a rack for you, and you can deconstruct the rack if you want to. And as you can see, like I can kind of just swap between all of these quote unquote complex or whatever, and it gives you way more patches than what's actually included, because it's a mix and match kind of deal. And to me, that's why everything that I do is valuable. You can swap between these. You know, if you have other faceplant if you have other multipass patches, you can hot swap those in instead. So you can put a filter on this if you wanted to. And then on this one, as you can see, these are connected via the simple. Then I can also just turn them on to either complex or simple, kind of like so, and hot swap in between those. The other thing is that I also have FM modulated to this, so that way you can use, I've got so many wavetables that are included in this, I don't even remember how many, but you can just put a wavetable in here via Ecclesia and hot swap in between different FM, and that's all connected via the mod wheel. So if I were to just play this, like that's it. It's already loud, you know? So we do that, we go complex. Let me go ahead and actually pull one up from this, and then 2 seconds, and then you've got a crazy sound. You know, we can change this into a saw wave. I think that the FM stuff works best with sine waves, so a more simple waveform instead of something that's harmonically rich like a saw wave or a square wave. But, you know, just play with it and see what you can get out of it. You know, Or we can go back to this and turn the mod off. And then you're already kind of on your way. So we also have a simple rack that are included with all of these, which is really just something that doesn't look like much, but it's designed again to be functional, because this is something that you can utilize to create phrases. It also comes more alive when you reintroduce the FM. So for example, if I want to create something that's kind of like a donk, I can just move the LFO over and then apply the FM. And this is great because what you can do is a couple of things, which makes this all fun. For one, I've mapped MPE to these two, which is dope. The other thing is that when it comes into writing a phrase or something, we can, I'm just going to do this like very basic, but if I were to apply something like this, and I start to automate these, then what I can do is go into the macros here and start to play with different phrases. So on this, I can set this here and be like, okay, on this one, we've got this. Then on this one, I'll type in complex and we can automate this and be like this, boom. And then you can hot swap in between. So if I do something like this, just creating a phrase, again, this is all hypothetical. Maybe on this one, we do something to where it's pulling off and then we apply some of the other macros here with either pitch stuff or change the wavetable. Maybe we can go mod wheel, kind of like so. And we'll go simple, make that here. And again, you know, this is just stuff that I wanted to design to be functional, like I had talked about before, because resampling is great, but I kind of am getting out of like the MudPie thing, just for the sake of wanting to be like, what do I actually just want to phrase? But if you take a listen to this with this different stuff, like look at how much diversity there's going to be within these sounds. Sorry. Now, the other thing that's really cool about this is, let's say you don't feel like doing this and you kind of just want to randomize shit. If you do want this to be quote unquote like a MudPie-esque thing, what you can do is go into these guys and you can adjust the MPE here that will start to change all this stuff. So if we go here, maybe we do it to this one, then we go to the timbre. You can also randomize this if you want to. So if you go to the pitch and timbre, you can actually highlight all of these. And if you're in Bitwig anyways, and spread these out kind of like so, which is super awesome because it gives you just more things to play with, you know? So if we move all that stuff up, we bring the mean up kind of like that. And this will kind of be a wonky cross between the effect racks, but that's why, again, this gives you so much more value, because what happens if you have two complex racks instead of a simple and a simple and a complex? So I could be like, you know, just hot swap this here. So you get what I'm saying? So there's so much that you can play into with making different phrases like this, and you can kind of spend a day just doing this and randomizing everything. Not to mention, if you have something like Bitwig, you can turn these on and apply your randomizers and all that to the macros. So yeah, I mean, in essence, there's just a lot of really cool stuff that this gives you that makes it a lot more fun to interact with, I feel like. And that's why this is a bass playground. Again, this seems like a lot with these racks, but these two are just OTTs. But I really wanted to try to extract the coolest stuff from the basses of the other packs that I've done and be like, okay, how do I give you something that is going to be more functional and something that is more predictable while not giving up the spirit of the kind of stuff that I usually do? And that's where we get into the complex racks. As you see, we've got 3 LFOs that everything is mapped to. All of these will look similar, but they're all different. I promise, I've done them all from scratch. But what we can do is, if we have a complex rack on here, let me turn this off. I can change the phrasing of this based off of the different movements that you can use to get variety. We also have things to where you can adjust the phase here. And there's a lot to play with on that front. We have an adjuster here in case if you want to go for more like subby and more subtle things. This is the filter table because sometimes this can become resonant. We have LFO speed. We have this lane going into a bandpass, which unfortunately there's still not really an answer to mixing into a bandpass unless if you use a snap heap rack, but I don't want to do that. So instead, this is the more elegant solution. And then we've got something that I actually got from Zane, which is a gate. And so if you're doing stuff like drum and bass, you can come over here and create different shapes if you want to via this. And what's cool about this is it will give you different shapes that you can make in order to gate the bass of whatever it is that you're doing. And the reason why I say drum and bass is because this becomes less like a something that you feel and more of something that you hear, but it creates a lot of cool movement and rhythm to the gate. So, or to the sound. So if you take a listen to this. You can see that it's got all this movement built into it that will help you build these phrases. And you can, again, adjust the timing and the speed and all that other stuff. So the last thing with this one, all of the complex racks have this, by the way, is if you're still looking for randomization, what I decided to go for was randomizing the phase. So that way you're still going to get stuff that's somewhat predictable, but this will change the phase of these in order to, start to shape different expressions. And then you can get in there and have a sense of agency with being able to control just the general shapes. So that way you have the best of both worlds behind something that you're like, oh, that was really cool. And that will sweep, but I don't have to necessarily be like, I'm never going to get that sound again. And you don't have to be recording in the back. And to me, the random phase sounds best with pitch movement. So yeah. And this wasn't even any of the patches that I built. This was just using the template. So imagine if you kind of scroll through this stuff, you change out the wavetables, all that other stuff. You get what I mean? Like there's just so much with this bass stuff that I think that this offers as far as value. So I wanted to show off the complex rack first because I think that's what people are going to expect from, the packs and stuff that I create. However, there's a few things up here that are all a little bit different, or just like general controls. And you'll notice that these are relatively subtle, but sometimes they can add a little bit of character to the source. So if you have something like the harmonic, then that's just going to add basically just a sine wave from the harmonic series to help make the sound a little bit thicker. So if I have something like a saw wave and I add the harmonic here, it's very subtle, but when you put this through distortion, let's just say I add distortion to this, you'll be able to hear it a lot more prominently. See how that kind of just makes the sound a little bit more thick. And if you change the harmonic series on here, then you can kind of add that really cool overtone. And what happens is if you start combining that again with your filter racks, that gives you a lot more variety and just a lot more sonic sculpting. I also have a harmonize on here, which just adds a fifth, usually of a saw wave. But as you can see, it's higher up now. And it gives you more stereo width than, just something that's kind of like a chord. So, there's that. Yeah. The last thing that I have on here is an 808 maker. This is kind of just a pun because it's shift. It's an 808, but yeah, anyways, that's what that means. But yeah, this is just something that will very quickly turn your sounds into an 808, which is nice. And so you can see that there's just like, I really wanted to try to cover as many bass sounds as possible in a single patch with these playgrounds. And there's not that many. I did 11 of them, but I think that it should be more than enough to play with in a matter that should take you very far with just getting lost in it. And if you're someone that's already comfortable with sound design and you customize these to your own liking, I think that, you're going to find, I think that you're going to find a lot of value. I've included 47 wavetables, so you can kind of cycle through all of these, you know, and they're all very different. The reason why some of these have different or like similar names as 2 and 3, it just means that I designed these wavetables within the same patch. And the other thing that's important to consider is that not only can you apply these wavetables to, you know, this as means an FM or as an engine source, but the most valuable thing is that all of these can be applied as filter shapes. So what I did within these patches was provided a wavetable as a source. I made a filter table, and then on some of these I might have even made like a shaper table, LFO, or sorry, wavetable or something like that. But you see, like it disperses among so many like places that these things can be applied. And so I'd be like, oh, okay, well, let's say you like this as a majority, but you want to change the filter table. Well, you can just go in here and swap this out for anything, but you know, for one of these filters that I've provided, and that will give you a new character to the sound. Whether or not it's going to be cool is something different, but I think that it's nice to at least note that this is available, right? So yeah, I do have a few things here that I want to mention, which is really cool. Some of these have a couple of extra, you know, things. So for example, this one has a color base maker built into it. I didn't do that many of these, but I wanted to just showcase that you can still apply this kind of processing to these sounds, which is kind of cool. There's a couple of other ones in here that are also kind of like, I think like a rhythm maker or something. I don't remember which one it is exactly, but I'll find it. There it is. So So this one actually isn't behaving the way that I want it to. I might go back and fix that, but there's another one in here, I think Thursday, maybe. Harmonize, let me see which one it is. There we go. So tortilla chip. And again, what's cool is you can kind of go into this and shape this now. So if I wanted to kind of make this do different stuff within a simple patch, I can move this and be like, oh, that's nice, but maybe I want to. Yeah, and so that's really cool. Yeah, so you can adjust that, you can change that. You know, what happens if you combine both? And then the other thing too that might be fun is to actually replace these and change the order of this. Is this the, oh, I forgot to, didn't move up there. So this one is here, and then we can open this up and start to change the phrasing of this. Then we can move this. We can change the speed. Wow. That's pretty sick. We can also apply the FM and change the wavetable down here. So wow. We can add pitch to this. With this, we can change this so you can make it as wide or as diverse as possible to kind of just add movement to it. Yeah, that's really cool. And then again, we've got, you know, you can add that 808 to it and stuff. There's some other things in here that I've added just to kind of, you know, make more variety as much as possible. One thing that I will say about all of these is that you'll notice that most of them just start with a Reese. But just be rest assured that it's totally not the same patch. It's just that this was the starting point. But when you start to add the FM, you look at the racks and all that other stuff. There's a lot of diversity within the processing that I've done on the outside. So for example, we've got this one. And then if we go to another one and we turn that complex knob on. So as you can tell, they're still very different. Yeah, so there's that. So have fun with that. Tons of stuff to play with in there. I've also just made 25 just regular basses that are just sound good. Again, I wanted to make sure that there was something for everyone, because even though I think that these are way more CPU efficient, these might suit you better because they're a little bit easier to use. So for example, we have our LFO here that you can just change if you want to. You know, we could just... And again, these are kind of just vanilla patches that you can utilize to start to change and get very simple stuff, right? Not all of these have macros, but again, you know, you can just... Yeah. Yeah. Maybe we can go back in here and kind of slide over this way and change some of this out. Wow. Yeah, so like even for me, like I'm finding stuff that I haven't heard from these patches, and I've spent a lot of time like just fucking with them, you know, but even still getting in here and changing the shapes like this gives you a lot of diversity, which is really cool actually. That's nice. Yeah. That one's so cool. Keep in mind that these are all related to BPM. So if you're playing something at a different BPM and it's like doesn't sound right, like let's say you make halftime or drum and bass at 170, like you might have to go and adjust these, but I typically do everything around like 80 to 85. So if it feels weird to you, just slow the track down or either change the LFO rates. Yeah. We have global warming. This one is another simple one, but I like this one because it has texture to the top end. I just thought that was super cool. You can always add one of these guys too. Pretty simple. This one's just really nice for like, you know, a simple sub. And I like this one a lot, even though it's simple, just because it's kind of like a UK drill bass. And then you can add the texture to it. Be careful, if you add more stuff to this, then it can kind of sound a little bit overblown, but sometimes that's a good thing. But as you can tell, you know, if you would like that shaker, you know, halftime bass or something, you can always add more. This one is super cool. It's kind of like, I always imagine like a drum and bass track over this, just like, maybe a little faster, but yeah. And then you can kind of change the phrasing and stuff, of course. Yeah, lots of cool stuff in that. This one's sick too. You know. And the wavetable, which I guess I forgot to save that, but it's included in there. You can also change the pitching of this. Yeah, dope. Typical bass. And so that's the basses. Yeah, lots of variety in there. Very happy with how a lot of these came out because it gives you the aggressiveness of the timbre of the sounds, but it makes it in a way that's a lot easier to, well, like I said, to work with, you know. So if you have the imagination for it, then you can have several instances of the same basses, and either A, well, I guess you could have one and just record out the movements that you like, or B, you can just create multiple instances of this and have each one do different kinds of phrasing. So yeah, I want to talk about these next. This one specifically, because this is something that I might start doing in a future pack, but I'm not really sure yet. But this thing is in theory really cool. It doesn't sound incredible, but if I explain it, it might make a little bit more sense. So this thing is a sequencer that has bass phrasing built into it. And what's cool about it is if you kind of like just listen to it, or you look at this is actually a selection knob that's going to modulate in between 3 different racks. And what this one does is a different movement, a different movement, and a different movement. So let me explain. If I turn off this LFO, it's just going to stay here. So if I play one sequence, it's going to sound like this. If I move this, it's going to move to a different sequence. And so what's really cool about this is having access to creating a phrase maker. And so what I've done is made an LFO like this. I'm going to go back here. And what we can do is play with different steps of 1, 2, or 3 of where this is supposed to be. That rhymed unintentionally. But if you listen to this now, but now if I change this here, then it's going to be a different phrase. So by moving this, it's going to change the selection of where this moves in between, and will essentially allow you to build, you know, bass phrases to start with just from within a single patch. And I think that conceptually, this is a lot of fun. And I only made one of them because, again, the theme of this pack was to make something that was functional. But imagine if, let's say, let me save this really fast. Template 1, 12, whatever. I might have forgotten to save that or whatever, but that's okay. And then maybe with this one, we can save this to as 13. These racks are in here. I just maybe have forgot to save them, but they're included. But now that we have that, we can change this to complex. We can build a phrase with this. Then we can build a different phrase with one of these other ones, maybe with the digicolor. And so leaving these on, now we can change the selection about how this moves. So let's say with this one, I want to modulate this to be a little bit faster, so that way it's a little bit more predictable. So what I'll do is turn this off, and that way we can just focus on this sequence. Right? Now we can go to the second sequence. You know, we can also change this into a different one. Maybe one of these guys. Turn this up. We can go to the next one. Change this into, you know, maybe one of these. And now if we go back here and turn this back on, Yeah, so again, it's just something that's fun to mess with that you can utilize and stuff. Maybe perhaps you want to change all of these to saw waves and mess with the timbre, or change the different layering behind all this stuff. But it's really just designed to be a rack for you to get lost in and to just kind of have fun with without having to go too deep into the sound design aspect of it. I've also included this thing, which is just a little melody maker. You can go in here and make your own if you want to, but if you listen to this will create a melody for you. You can change the scale if you want to, or you can change the shape, but this has like a huge selection of different melodies to kind of run this through, which is provided to you here. So yeah, this is something that I think is really cool. I think that people that make dubstep will probably appreciate this more, but yeah, that's pretty sick. So the other sequences that we have are a little bit more simplified, but what they are is just different things that I like to apply of creating a complex patch that evolves and stuff over time. So for example, this is meant to be played with chords. I'm going to turn this on because it's just a low pass filter, but it's basically just something that sounds really nice. But the more that you listen to it, the more that the patch unfolds. Yeah, and I just love things like that. So we also have this, which I'll come back to this in just a second. We have stuff like eloquence. Now, this is unique in the sense that I've created a different kind of factory, which will morph between a wavetable engine and a granular engine. And this has plucks and keys. You can add bells and stuff to make it. But the feature of this one is that I have this thing right here called special. And what I've done is just like the selection knob with the bass thing that I've shown you, I have racks here that translate into different effect processors. So basically it's a lot of patches within one, but take a listen. If I turn this off, it just sounds like this. We'll change it into a bell. We change it into a pluck if we want. We can add a fifth. We can change the FM table to mess with the timbre. We have mod wheel, which is vibrato. And then when we get to the special over here, what's cool about this is now we can use this knob here on the effects one to kind of cycle through these different processing chains. So you see, like, messing with this is pretty much just a rabbit hole because there's so many different things that you can swap between, which brings up another good point. I've included 136 samples here that are all within C that you can swap in between this to change. Some of them sound a little bit samey, but that's okay. They're all, I think, unique enough to be able to discern having a different timbre. So, you know, just kind of something like this. Yeah, so I'm not going to go through all of them, but you see how many different sounds there are in this? So it's essentially, you know, like 136 preset sounds or preset engines built into a single thing. And if you get into that and you start applying FM to this other stuff and whatever, then there's a lot of melodic sculpting that you can build just with this single engine. So with that being said, I've also provided another one to actually help you build a factory, which what this does is exactly as described. So if you record a bunch of C notes out here and you just hit the, you know, it doesn't have to be C, but if you hit C, like let's say C3, every time you play this, it's going to give you something different. As you can see here, there's a different selection here. I've got different wavetables that this is running through. You can change the wavetable here. You can also change out the different sounds in order to get more variety out of this. And so, like I said before, the more that you get into it, the more that it keeps on giving back and giving back and giving back. And that's why I'm so proud of like making packs like this, because it really, there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot. So this is another relatively simple sequence, but I still like the way it sounds. Sorry I keep playing the same chord. I'm on a chordy keyboard and this is my favorite chord on it. Something that I like about doing this kind of stuff is that if you offset the keys, then it will create a different rhythm. Yeah, really fun. Get in there, change stuff in, swap it out, you know, put a neuro rack on it, whatever, like have fun and, you know, try something like this and see what it does, because that's, again, there's not really any limit to what this stuff does. I don't know if this is going to be cool or not, but maybe I'll put this up at the front, but yeah. It's nice. We have game on. This is one of the more simple ones, but this is what something that I made last minute that I put in the track that I was working on. I just like it. It's just kind of a cool, like, old school driving sound. Then we have the sequence concept, which we've already gone through. Yeah, so there's that. Now we've got our musical stuff. This is just different things that I wanted to include just as variety. So this one's also really cool because, as you can see, I've built another selection on here, and this will make a selection between all of these different wavetables as an FM source. So if I utilize this and change this, then listen to this. Actually, I need to apply FM first, but if you push it all the way to the right, it's going to be off, but we also have the mix between the wavetable. Maybe we can go into here and upload an Ecclesia thing. We can change the wavetable or the starting position of the granular. This will sweep the wavetables here, so they're all mapped to the same one. Now, what's also cool is that I've also included the selection rack, kind of like here, to where we can modulate behind all of these. This might be intense for your CPU, but, you know, as a concept, it's still pretty sick. Okay, so hold on. I actually saw something that I want to resample because that sounded really nice. So I'm actually going to take that and just apply that from Rolling Sampler. I don't know where it is, but it's somewhere in here, but it sounded really cool. So let me go into here and turn these guys off. Yeah. Yeah, that's a song idea right there, which is cool.
Recording to logbook.
Thank you for the follow, C. You see how like diverse this patch is? There's just so much. You can just swap these out if you want to. Yeah, that one's awesome. Can get lost in that for a while. Yeah, that one's super sick. Lead stab. This is another rack that I've built that also has the same, excuse me, selection knob. So again, it kind of just switches in between, you know, a wavetable and a granular thing. So much variety in this stuff. This one's a little bit more simple. This one's very basic, but You can change this other stuff if you want to. I ended up turning them off for a reason, I think. Yeah, so there's that. I think that's everything. And then we of course have the templates. So I built you a melodic template to where you can morph between the grains and the what's it called? This is the simple one where you can morph between the grains and the engine. And then on the selector template, what you can do is just start adding effects to different stuff. So this one could be very simple, like reverb. This one's delay. I'm gonna set that to like almost max, so that way you can hear it. We can set this one to phaser and flanger. We can set this one to maybe some distortion and pitch shifting. I don't know. This is just as an example, but with this, you can see that this will select between these different knobs here that you can create these racks, and then that's all connected here, as you can see. So if we just play something vanilla, let me pull up some of these samples here. Turn on the special, and then now we can cycle through between this very basic stuff. So and that way you can build your own stuff and make these racks as simple or as complex as you want them to be. So yeah, there's that. And then I have a more specific granular one that's supposed to be, I think I already explained this, but this is the kind of thing to where you've got the complex one with the different wavetables and the factory stuff. So what does this one do? Oh, that's just the selector mix. So, I mean, yeah, everything that I've made, I've left paper trails on how to recreate. And, you know, I'm hoping that you don't try to do that exactly. I'm hoping that you can end up making your own version. But I really tried to design something for everyone, something that is included with the, you know, bass phrasing, something that's included with the musicality, something that's included for, you know, I just wanted it to work and be functional, versus something that I really want to get in here and like design things deeply. And hopefully you can see why this took me so long to put together. Actually, I think that most of you have probably seen me put this pack together on stream, but yeah, I really want these things to be more than just cool sounds. Like, don't get me wrong, the sounds need to be cool, but I could see somebody really taking off with this kind of stuff and having an entire, you know, world of sound design within them. So yeah, I think I'm going to hang out for just a couple more minutes, but I kind of just want to reiterate where to find this if you're interested. There's a link in the description. And then I just wanted to remind you all that you can grab the bundle if you want to, which is 4 packs, which is the Requiem collection and Ecclesia for 120. It saves you $30. That's okay if you're not interested in it, whatever. There's that. And then Ecclesia itself, I actually wanted to make cheaper than most of my other packs because, dude, times are hard. And I think that I want to provide something that's going to be valuable to you all and something that just really just gives you buyer's confidence, you know? As you can see, I put a shit ton of work into this, but I'm not really trying to get rich off of it. I'm trying to make things to help people that might be struggling creatively or with, you know, sound design or whatever. Does anybody have any questions about anything or any comments, observations, anything that you would like to see in a future pack or anything that you feel like is missing? Again, you know, I know that I'm a YouTuber and all that other stuff, but this is my job. This is how I make my money. And I really want to make sure that I'm, you know, doing you all right, whether it be through price or whether it be through, you know, just quality of content. kind of weird. Like I don't have a boss or anything or anybody to really guide me, so I just do what I think is going to be cool, which usually works out. But customer feedback is always invited and welcome. Yeah. So does anybody have anything or any any questions, comments, observations, concerns? Um, you need to make sure that this is on the latest version of FacePlant, so make sure that your stuff is updated. If anybody's wondering, you don't have to own any of the premium snap-ins, but in order to change the patches, you will need to own them. So you can use them, but if you want to get down and change the module parameters and stuff, then you'll need to own that stuff. If you do the Kilohearts subscription, all this stuff will be available. So from the get-go, trying to think about what else, what other information. I guess I can walk you through installation, just because that would be a question that a lot of people would have. If we go here and we go to FacePlant, what we would do is just go to add location. And then I have this on my desktop at the moment, but you just click on the folder and then the patches will open. And then you can do this via multipass and snap heap respectively. So that should be pretty easy. The other thing that you can do is you can go into your library here. It's a secret library, I guess, quote unquote, or the hidden library. So to access this, if you're on a Mac, I wouldn't know if you're in Windows, is you hit go, hold option and go to this library that pops up. Then just find the folder that says Kilohearts. So maybe application support, name should be down here. Maybe not. Maybe it's, oh, I think this was stuff for Lunacy Audio. But if you just go to, where is this? Preset, audio, presets, library. So let's try that again. Sorry. So we go to hidden library, we go to audio, then we go to presets, find your Kilohearts folder, double click, and then all your stuff is here. And so what you would do instead of just drag the whole pack in is you would grab your Ecclesia multipass, drag it in there. You would grab your presets for FacePlant, drag it in here. As you can see, they're already kind of organized. Then you would grab your wavetables and toss them and divvy them up within their respective folders. But I honestly think that it would just be easier to use the browser, but that's one way to do it. So yeah. All right. Well, I think that explains everything. Appreciate you all. If anybody purchases this pack, I think the last thing that I would request from you, regardless of whether or not you buy this, actually, yeah, if you don't buy this, then please don't leave a review. But I would love to know your honest feedback. So if you left a comment down in this on this video, that would be super helpful, and just tell people about what you like, tell people about what you don't like. I don't expect any of you to say anything. You know, I'm not expecting anybody to glaze this. I really want to know what you like. I want to know what you don't like, and I want there to be more information on the product, and I want people to be happy with the purchase. So thanks everybody. I appreciate it. And I'll see you all tomorrow because we're going to get back to streaming. Bye, everybody. I'll check you later. Thank you. Alckemy Duck.